Dudes to Dads, brought to you by Dad University, is a podcast to help men understand and navigate the transition of being a single dude into a family man. How do we make sense of it all? Well, we probably won't be able to, but let's go ahead and have some fun trying. And we are back.
We are back.
I'm Jason Kreidman.
I'm Alan Bush.
And this is Dudes to Dads, another episode.
Another exciting episode.
146.
Yeah, getting up there in age here.
It's very old.
Yes.
I mean, it's not old.
Well, what's that?
It's not getting old.
Not bicentennial. Sesquicentennial.
You got me on that, man.
I remember seeing that on a license plate for the America's 150th birthday, and it was like sesquicentennial, I think.
That's how do you spell that?
I don't know. A lot of
so how you doing? Good?
I'm good, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
aside from my spelling skills, I'm good.
We are recording Facebook Live
we're going to start
joining us.
Right.
And just testing it out. Seeing how things work.
Sure.
Technology is foreign to us as internet marketing experts.
Right.
Today's episode, should we reward kids for good grades? No. Thank you.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
So this is how this came about. I was talking to another parent who shall remain nameless because they deserve to be nameless.
Okay.
And they were explaining the different amounts of money that their child gets depending on their grades.
Huh.
No, I'm serious.
I never.
So like $20 for an A, $10 for a B. Yes, this is true.
Wow, that's monetizing their grades?
Monetizing grades. There's people that believe in this. This has been around for a long time.
No, I get that, but geez.
Did you ever get paid for grades?
No.
No, neither did I.
Yeah, and I got decent grades.
Yeah.
I wasn't like straight A student, but I was like honor roll.
Have you ever gotten a gift?
No. I mean, I was just treated right. And
you got the A.
I got the A. That's a gift enough as itself. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember getting gifts for good grades. I just remember being proud of me. And
yeah. So to me, this is along the same lines as using reward charts for behavior modification.
Right.
So, when a kid is 2 or 3 years old and they get a little star on their reward chart, and then they add up the stars. And this, to me, I personally don't believe in this.
Right.
Now, psychologists and educators and whatever, there are many that believe in it. And it's a form of how to teach kids how to do it. It's, I get it from the aspect of positive reinforcement. And I get it that it, quote, works.
Right.
But I'd have to believe that it works short term. And that's it.
Right.
It's not. It's what it's teaching is that if you do something, you get a reward versus just, and that's.
There's no intrinsic value.
It's not intrinsic. It's extrinsic. What's the
extrinsic?
other?
Extrinsic.
Something like that. It's out. It's the outer.
Of the stuff.
So I mean, like you give a rat cheese. What happens if there's no cheese?
Yeah. Are they going to do the behavior?
The rat's doesn't care.
You're right.
It's because like you get rewarded. It's it's the bell and the ding and whatever Pavlov's dogs.
Right.
Look at me going all science.
Yeah, exactly. You can all harkening back to my psychology background.
Show off for Facebook. So I kind of think that this is the same problem with the reward charts. And so if you get a star for doing this, a sticker if you do this, and then what happens when the stickers run out? I did a YouTube video about reward and motivation for kids. Like, what happens when the rewards stop, the motivation stops.
Yeah.
That's if that's what's driving it. So like you said, you're totally removing the intrinsic value of accomplishing something.
Right.
The child doesn't learn the real value of what it is that they're doing, the accomplishment, the goal, whatever. It could be helping somebody, completing a task.
Yeah.
They're not getting that internal value. They're saying, well, I'm doing it because I'm going to get this.
Yeah, I'm going to get some. Right, exactly. Right. I mean, I guess there's a fine line, and I'm sure you're going to go into this, but it's basically saying that, like, the reward is that it feels good to do it, and people may praise you, or there might be love associated with that, or like, oh, that's really great.
But it's the feeling.
It's a feeling, yeah, of not knocking a mic over, and then also the feeling that comes with like being, it's you might get a smiley face on your paper or whatever, but there's praise, but not just external.
Yeah,
rewards.
I guess that's the interesting argument is like, we talk about giving people positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
That in itself is a reinforcement.
Yes.
What is the difference between that and a physical aspect? Well, the positive reinforcement that you're giving your child is not praise from you. Mm-hmm. It's a positive reinforcement so that they feel better about themselves.
Right.
So so if, let's say your child, cleaned up their room. You're not saying, I'm so proud of you. You cleaned up your room. You're saying, hey, you did it. You should be really proud of yourself.
Right.
And so when you give that positive reinforcement, it's actually that intrinsic value that you're trying to pass to your child.
Yeah.
It's not the external, I'm waiting for mom or dad to say that I did a really good job.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's the same thing you see on like a basketball court or football, whatever, in sports.
Yeah.
Where the child, they do something and they turn to the parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, did I do it right?
Yeah.
Or the coach. I mean, they'll turn to the coach too. Yeah. Like, hey, did I do that right? Is that what you wanted me to do?
Right.
And that's a common thing, especially with younger kids.
Sure.
Because every time they get to go, oh yeah, you're so incredible.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'm gonna cheer if my kid scores something.
Again,
but
it's a good distinction to make.
It's that idea, that you're, it's the intrinsic value. So, versus reward is external, and so like with grades, the reward is the grade.
Yeah.
It's not, that is the reward, I guess.
Sure.
Great. You got an A. Yeah. That's your reward. Whatever.
Yeah. That's what the A is for.
Yeah. And there's been numerous studies. When I was reading over this and putting this together, there's numerous studies where children were provided money for results, and it really did not make a change in performance over the long term. It just didn't.
Yeah.
There are some things short term, which I know like the school does, where like, hey, if you're going to read this for a certain amount of time, you'll get this prize, and certainly that can be motivating for kids, but is that teaching them that reading's really important?
Right.
No, it's teaching you. You read a bunch of stuff, you'll get the prize.
Get a prize at the end of it. Yeah.
So it's that's where the line is. It's like, and it's important for us to to make that distinction so that we are mindful of what exactly it is that we're trying to teach.
Yeah.
With that enforcement. So here's a couple of ways that we can help kids with grades specifically. This can help with many things, but with grades specifically, so that you're not paying them or giving them gifts.
Right.
So the first one, focus on the effort, not the grade. Now, there are some that will even argue this one because, and my parenting coach or teacher mentor talked about this, where we reward for, let's giving it 100%. Let's use that terminology.
Yeah.
Do you always feel like giving it 100%?
Right.
What happens? You don't always feel like giving it 100%.
Yeah, sometimes
you don't have to all the time.
Right.
So what happens though is that we are so focused oftentimes on that, and like, as long as you try hard, and which is an important thing. But here the point is not focusing on the grade and focusing on the journey to the grade or the effort that was made towards, whatever. So maybe they worked hard, maybe they read a bunch, maybe they, did their work diligently, whatever. More focused on that and saying, hey, you really did your work. Like you took that seriously, or, whatever.
Yeah.
Rather than the grade that they got. Another one, limiting screen time. I will always throw that in there when I can. Yeah,
that's pretty much a motif of the show.
More simply, though, you have to get your work done before you play.
Yes.
And I can, put even there, like, cleaning your room or whatever, which we always had to do our homework before we go outside and play.
Yeah.
However, I am somewhat of a believer that if you have a structured time schedule, you could possibly alter that because, kids have been in school all day.
Yes.
They kind of do deserve a little bit of a break.
Oh, and
thank goodness our schools now are giving less homework. So
good.
I appreciate
that's good.
that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's an important thing. Another one, encourage reading. So this is something where, if you can find topics that they enjoy, they're going to be more inclined to read. And reading has always been an important thing. I know my parents always pushed reading. I didn't like it. But I recall them finding things that I was more interested in. Like I like joke books.
Yeah.
And I like.
I was thinking about a joke book recently that my buddy used to have. I got to talk to this guy, but
Truly Tasteless Jokes?
No, it was Games You Can't Lose, and it was like connect the dot.
Right.
Just little simple things.
Yeah, no, I loved like the jokes, or even like Guinness Book of World Records, like that kind of stuff. Like just me reading a long story was not something that I was interested in. But eventually, there's occasional like mystery books and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Yeah. Like things that are interesting will be, let's say they're into sports and they're only into sports, and you get a book about sports, but it's important to get that reading in.
Yeah.
To do that. And that's now I like with the homework at our schools is that they just read. That is their homework.
It's funny. I had someone asked me why I know so much about certain birds. And I'm like,
because I did a book report.
I just read. We didn't do any reports. I just read the encyclopedias over at my grandparents' house and looked through them. And I like birds, or I like wildlife, so I would just read that stuff. And I just started to get to know them. Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Has that come in handy?
Yeah, not at all, except for trivia.
18th century
the whippoorwill has this distinctive beak that does X, Y, and Z.
That is funny. That is funny. Another one: help, but don't do. So you are there for support, but you're not doing the work for them. Yeah. So, they ask you questions, you can answer them, whatever, but you want to make sure that you are not doing their work for them. Another one, let them fail. So, you want to let them fail. Missing homework. Their assignments.
Back to the last episode of letting them make mistakes.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, eventually, what happens if they miss their homework? Well, the teacher, is going to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like you have to deal with that, and you probably then won't miss it another time.
Yeah.
So that's something, or an assignment. Now, when they're really young, okay, you kind of check up on them and do that. But as they get into the older grades within elementary school, you shouldn't have to police them anymore.
Sure.
They need to know what the assignments are. They need to do that.
Right.
So that'll give them the ability to do that. Because if you're the one covering it all the time, it's not going to work. The last thing, positive reinforcement. So, catch them doing something well. They're doing their homework, they're reading, they're doing something, and reinforce it in a positive way, saying, hey, you really read a lot of pages, or you are, I can see you're really, taking care of your work that you need to do, whatever it is, just giving them positive reinforcement.
Sure.
So please, parents, this is a plea. Do not pay your kids for doing well in school.
I still can't get behind that. I don't understand.
I saw some even prominent people that were commenting about that and, believe in it. Now, one of specifically that I was reading about, she was a proponent of it, but she has a very good relationship with her kids. Her kids are very do really well in school. I'm sure they have a very solid family, and so that they're already sort of driven and interested in school and learning because the parents are. It's just that's the nature of the family. So then she feels it's okay to reward them.
Right.
So, I mean, that's their opinion. I still don't agree with it, but that was the justification.
Sure.
Whereas like somebody who's struggling in school and then you pay them to do well.
Right.
That's where, because some of the arguments are, well, we get paid to work and this is their work.
Yeah, and and a lot of times you do get promotions and raises based on performance.
Right.
Or if you're a sales guy,
but you get an A.
It's very distinctively attached to that.
Right.
So
that's the argument, and that's an argument that people would have.
It's like you're making commissions.
But that's the amazing thing about this world. Sure. You can have a difference of opinion.
Exactly, and we can all get along.
The cool thing is this is our podcast,
so we're right.
So we get to say whatever we want. You go start your own podcast, people, and then you can have
called the intrinsic reward be damned podcast.
Right. So there's occasions, of course, like you said, if you get rewarded for the performance, what if the child's just not very smart?
Yeah.
What if they're not, and they don't do well in school, or they're not, do they have to try so hard and then for that they're going to get some money for it? Like, that's the difficult thing. Hello, for those of you joining us on Facebook. For them, getting a C might take effort.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's something. And do we reward the effort rather than the performance?
And that's the other thing too, is like if they made it past a certain level and they, like you said, they were C average and they've started making Bs, like it's a way bigger stretch.
It's actually a trick question. You don't reward the effort.
Don't reward them. Well, it's the intrinsic value. That would help a lot more. They're like, they got ahead of where they were.
Right. So. Well, if anybody has any ideas, Alan, what should they do if they, well, I'd like to hear if maybe they do reward their kids with money.
Yeah, if they have any people that are out there that feel
reward
like that's
kids' grades with money.
Yeah.
Again,
I'm not against it or for it really at this point, but you're totally against it. I'm kind of on your side, but at the same time, I'd be love to hear
expensive
feedback. You're right. I don't have any cash, kids.
Yeah. What do they do?
They go to podcast@dudesadads.com if they want to email us. Dudesadads for Twitter. Dudesadads.com for Facebook, and then get on all those tube and podcasters, YouTube, especially. We have the videos for Deuce the Dads and Dad University. Go to iTunes and Stitcher if you want to hear the podcast more, and please subscribe, leave 5 stars as a review, and that's our intrinsic reward.
That's a good point.
There you go.
We don't have any monetary reward.
We don't have any monetary. We're not going to give you any money for it.
Right. Well, no, they should give us money. Right?
Sure.
And with that, Alan, thank you again, as always, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.